Não cai nessa, dá um beijinho então. Hey Lloyd. This typical Brazilian Indian. Daddy, oh, I love you,
Look at this, we have all the celebrities here.
Theater.
The glitterati, the glitterati.
All the celebrities and me.
Do you have a film at the Happy Port?
Yes, two.
And they are?
Otto and Gerontophilia, my gay zombie movie and my intergenerational love story.
And what are you doing this afternoon? The intergenerational, yes. And what are you doing this afternoon?
I'm at the illustrious Lloyd Kaufman's masterclass.
Make your own damn movie. And you, sir, what brings you here?
Probably an accident of genetics.
Bruce LaBruce, how are you raising money these days?
Get right to the meat of things. My last feature film was financed by the Canadian film governmental agencies, Quebec Telefilm and SODEC, which is the Quebec financing agency. So it was my first government-sponsored film, my first union crew, my biggest budget so far. So, and the first film I'd shot in Canada for 17 years. I have another experimental film out right now called Pierrot Lunaire, which I got Arts Council funding for, which is more for artistic kind of projects, lower budget projects. There's the Canada Council for the Arts, the Ontario Arts Council. But I mean, if you're making a feature film, you have to do a whole combination of stuff. Ideally, always the most ideal situation is private financing and donations, and there's crowdsourcing, of course. For my film Otto, Otto or Up with Dead People, my gay zombie film, it was attached to my German producer. He got money from the Berlin Film Fund, and we got recoupable advances from a number of distributors, and then we also got private donations from a variety of people in the art world, and then I applied for Arts Council funding in Canada for completion, for post-production. So it became a German-Canadian co-production. The Cannes, the Queer Palm, any film from any section is eligible for the award. So the films in competition are vying against, the queer films in competition are vying against the films in Certain Regard, which are vying against the midnight section. All the sections any section is eligible, but sometimes it just gives visibility to films that might not necessarily get a certain kind of recognition because of the subject matter. Lately, for example, transgendered work is really starting to become really recognized. I've made a film called Pierrot Lunaire, which is about a female-to-male transsexual. I'm not a female-to-male transsexual, but I think anyone has. I'm definitely part of the queer community, so I had a particular story to tell, and it's it's good to challenge all sorts of conventions, not only with the way you make films or the type of films you make, but the subject matter as well. So that's what I've always done.
Do you want some?
No mercy. I'm not brave enough for this drink.
Oh no!
That's a terrifying drink.
It looks like you smoke it.
Yeah.
I was hoping you would smoke that stuff. So, Richard Stanley, can you tell us a bit about how you are raising money today for your movies?
Well, one advantage I guess I've always had is that I'm not really loyal to any one particular country. I started out in South Africa, then relocated to the United Kingdom. I'm currently living in France, and I'm thinking about becoming a naturalized American. But essentially, I'm prepared to go to any country that will have me, depending on where the funding is. The next movie we're making, I started out writing it set in France, and we're now setting it up in Canada, so it may end up being shot in Ontario, and failing that, it may yet go to South Africa, all the way back to Sourcegan. So, yeah, the script is constantly mutating. We're always wondering whether they're French farmers or Quebecois farmers or whether they're going to end up as Zulus. But the basic outline is the same. Lately, I've been writing a lot of material which is very interchangeable, stuff which is set in one location, one house, or one bunker, or something which could essentially be shot anywhere, because essentially movies don't ever happen from the bottom up. They always happen from the top down. Meaning that no matter how good the script is, no matter how much you want to get it made, you always have to be at the right time in the right place. Usually movies get made because some maniac out there has equity trapped in Winnipeg, or has equity trapped in New Mexico, or there's suddenly a need to make 3 movies this year in Israel. And very, very often a film will get greenlit just because it happens to be the thriller which happens to be set in the desert, or happens to be set in the location which works for whatever those trapped funds are. So a lot of the time it's like I'm also trying to bet across the board and having several different kinds of scripts out there simultaneously. So we've got a slightly better chance than maybe the odds are a little bit better than, say, winning the lottery or something. Usually the best scripts have never been made, in that the ones that I've been happiest with and which have been the most exciting screenplays have nearly always ended up on the pile. And the stuff that we've done all the storyboarding for has nearly always ended up on the slush pile as well. 9 times out of 10, it's been the script that's gotten made has been the thing that nobody's quite believed in, the dark horse, extremely strange project, which just happened to be in the right place at the right time, which is really how both of Hardware and Dust Devil got made. They were both lucky accidents. Well, Hardware got made largely because Palace Films and Miramax at that time wanted their own version of Evil Dead. They had a huge hit with Evil Dead. And they wanted something which they could turn around quickly, which basically for around 800 grand in one location. And Hardware just happened to be there. Plus, it was a cyberpunk movie. It was a time when Terminator and Alien were doing well, and it made a kind of sense to them. Hardware evolved. It was initially, there was a script, but it was a much more cerebral script. It started out being something closer to the John Huston movie, Fat City, set in the 21st century. The original script had no cyborg, no action. It was originally a Christmas movie with these different irradiated, really depressed characters trying to make sense of their lives and dreaming about a better world stuck in the future. And everyone rejected it left, right, and center. In fact, there's a Super 8 version of this. I shot it as a Super 8 movie when I was young, which there's a Super 8 film which is basically Hardware without the cyborg, where with the one-handed soldier who's dating the scrap metal sculptress and their zoned out space jockey neighbor who's doing a lot of drugs. The Other World was made more or less by accident about a year ago. It starts off as a straight-up documentary. It does have some of the strangest people on Earth, in particular the sorcerer guy who really does believe in the great old ones and is really does believe that there is a portal to the other world there, and is completely real. He also happens to be a cross-dresser, and he's also extremely short and looks very much like someone from another planet. So yeah, he's certainly got star qualities. So the first half hour is a regular documentary. Then we realized that 90% of the audience, of course, would find the idea totally absurd. So that after half an hour it has to metamorphose into a comedy, and that it can only be straight-faced for so much time. And so then we started, in about half an hour in, we started including more of the goofier material, where you start to realize that some of the interviewees are a little cracked, and we let people run on, and we start to realize some of them are on medication, or some of them have drug issues, etc., and this all starts to come out in the middle. I think the only advice is just to keep going. Don't ever give up, and just whatever happens, don't surrender, don't back down, because it's brutally depressing. And Cannes in particular, very, very, very hard to ever actually get a movie deal at Cannes. I think the main thing is to keep showing up, and I think if you show up long enough, you eventually become part of the scenery. People have to eventually recognize your face and know that you've been around, and this may take 5 years or 6 years until people start to accept that you actually belong there. But just keep showing up, don't give up, because really it's some kind of longevity is extremely important. If you stand around long enough, eventually you will become the film industry. Initially you're a complete outsider, but simply by sheer durability, eventually the odds will come in your favor. It's very much the same as gambling, in that when you're having a bad streak at gambling, if you just stay with it and keep your cool, the luck will turn eventually. It may take 4 or 5 years, but sooner or later that little fluky moment will come about, and it's absolutely impossible to produce that moment, to say how to get it, because every single thing that's ever worked for me has been for the most ridiculous reasons. I mean, the one we're setting up in Canada at the moment is because I did a tarot card reading for someone. I was doing tarot card readings in Sitges. One of them happened to be for someone who actually had some money, who I had no idea who it was, but it was, again, a very silly thing, card tricks. But any kind of reason to basically be there.